Slovakia. I'm Dr. Gloria Latimore-Peace, host and producer of the H3o Show. And I am here with Melvin King, and we are at Chicago State University. And before I greet you, I just want to tell you that Bill King, who is WBEE radio, I guess you call him a disc jockey. I think he's a lot more than that. But this morning he was quoting from Happy Talk, and he was saying, you got to have a dream, because if you don't have a dream, how you going to have a dream come true? And for you, this is a dream come true. And I want you to tell the audience about this dream and the road to the fulfillment of it.
Yeah, Dr. Peace, this is a dream that I had 5 years ago. And like you said, where there is no vision, the people perish. The Lord brought this vision to me after I had traveled and did shows around the country and meeting all the artists that we have here now. You know, I was just starting out myself, and I learned from a lot of these artists that I have here. And I said, I'm seeing this in a lot of other cities, but I don't see this in Chicago. So I said, somebody needs to do this here, not realizing that it was going to be me to start it, you know. So somebody said, well, why don't you do it, Melvin? You know, I said, well, I'm going to try it. So a friend of mine said he would help me find a place. So I came up over to Chicago State University to rent a space, and I went to some churches, but they were a little too small. I came to Chicago State to rent a space, and they heard the idea, and they asked me could they become part of it. And I told them, yeah, that would be great, because then I wouldn't have to pay for the space, you know. Mm-hmm. So that's how we got here at Chicago State University.
I want to talk about your exhibit. Let's talk about some of this work, because some of this work we all remember. For example, this piece here with the church scene. Everybody who is black has seen that scene, has been a part of that scene. Is this one of the earlier paintings? Because it seems to me I've been knowing about this for a long time.
This is a recent piece here that I did. This is my latest church piece.
Oh, right. Well, then there's got to be another one.
There's two other ones.
Okay.
The first one was Revival.
Oh, right.
And the second one was Altar Call.
All right.
And this is one of your more modern churches. This is actually my church where I go.
Okay.
Apostolic Church with Reverend Brazier.
Right.
63rd. And I hadn't done a modern church.
All right.
So far this has been the last one here.
All right.
But I do intend to do another one.
All right.
With some religious theme. I used to pass out Bible tracts when I got saved in 1958. I was in the Army. And I was so gratified with being saved. Till something that I could do, I could go out on the streets and on Skid Row on Madison Street and pass Bible tracts out to people, and I felt like I was doing something for God at that time. You know? So when I got busy with the paint, yes I am, because I'm trying to express it through the artwork now. That's why you see those little signs always in my artwork, because I can use these as large Bible tracts and still get the message out. And ask the Lord to give me insight on what to paint and how to do it, and thank Him for the gift. I thank Him every day for that, you know. And
how long have you been a painter?
I've been painting since I was about 12.
Really?
I started at 6 years old modeling clay.
Okay.
And bottle tops and popsicle sticks, stuff like that. Getting a corner to myself. You know, I wasn't an average kid. All my brothers and sisters was out playing. But I always got to myself and make believe. I could see stuff and make believe out of anything. You know, I used to make a heaven with cotton balls up on a chandelier and put them little statues up there like it was heaven to me. That was fun to me. Everybody else thought I was crazy.
Well, you've proven that you're not crazy. And I tell you something, I don't know when your first exhibit was, but I know this has got to be among the finest that you've done.
My first exhibit, I was 15 years old at the Carnegie Theater on North Avenue in Clark Street. This white guy saw my work. I was doing some black and white abstracts at that time. And he gave me an exhibit because he saw that I was interested and really sincere about being an artist.
Oh, very good.
And that was exciting to me, you know.
All right.
This is why I try to help other young artists, not because they need that inspiration. You know, I got the young ones here amongst the older ones, trying to embellish these older ones before they go on and give them their due. And the younger ones can ask some questions from the older artists and learn.
Yes.
See, I didn't have that learning thing. I used to go to Clifford Lee's house, but he would never show me that much. You know, he stopped painting when I come over there. You know, I go over there to ask questions, but he stopped. And I'd ask him questions. Sometimes he was so busy, you know. And I'd go by Eric Anderson's house. I think he's living, but Clifford went on to be with the God. And I used to go by his house, but nobody would tell me anything. So my classroom was books. I couldn't afford classes. Tried to get my father to pay for classes, but he just couldn't do it at that time. So books, I'd go to the resale shops and get a book for 10 cents, 15 cents, as long as it had some art in there. I'd come home, get my pencil and some paper and draw. See? I use the paint in the basement that we use for painting walls. I get the white paint by the little tent and dye that paint. That's how I made my colors, and that's the paint I use. We didn't have no money.
Well, hello, Kevin Henderson.
Right.
Tell us about this work. You love musicians, I can tell.
I love musicians. I strive on a lot. I work with a lot of color. My colors are bright and vibrant. And I work with a lot of music because of the fact.
This is the camera. You want to talk to the camera. I'm going to listen and you talk to the camera.
Because.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay. I use work with a lot of color, and my work is basically jazz, music, spiritual art. I work with a lot of spiritual art. I like a lot of bright things. I like life, and that's what I try to express in my paintings. Movement. I think God give us life, so I want to express it in my work.
Well, we're very happy to look at your work. Can we take some footage of your booth?
Sure.
Thank you. Well, I'm going to step out of the way so the... I tell you, brother, this is some good stuff here. I tell you, fruits of the Spirit. This is wonderful. Do you have a card? Because I need to... Okay. Oh, yes. Yes. All of the above. Now I need a little, by this time I need a little bag.
I give you a little bag.
Okay, thank you.
Black history and why. I asked why, and I got curious about the technique, but then when I saw his work, I said, this is kind of right?
Right.
Thank you. Thank you, thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
20 years later,
Save.
no,
Oh, this is Jimmy Claybrooks. All right. Say hello to the audience.
Okay, hi everybody.
All right. Now tell us about Divine Assistance. You were going to tell us about.
Yeah, Divine Assistance is one of my egg tempera originals.
Oh, right.
And as you know, egg tempera is the oldest painting technique known to man.
I didn't know that.
It predates oil paint by a good 2,500 years.
All right.
The Egyptians were quite masterful in their art techniques. They made paint with milk and with eggs. Today we call that milk paint. It's called casein. It's a watercolor, an opaque watercolor. And you played with casein when you were a little girl in school. It's called Elmer's glue. Well, you can take that glue, mix it with pigment, which is a dry powder, and it will give you a paint, a water-based paint. The same thing with the egg yolk. The egg yolk is an oil, but when you use it to make paint, it's a water-based medium until it dries. Once it's dry, it becomes an oil painting. So you mix the egg yolk with a pigment or color, and you get a paint. And the paint has a peculiar quality about it. It's different from oils or acrylics or watercolors. It has a unique ability to be vibrant and colorful, and yet at the same time transparent, semi-transparent. So when you use the paint the right way, you get some wonderful effects. And you have to paint on a board, plaster, and that's what this is. It's the oldest painting technique there is, and it's a dead art form now, so only 1 or 2% of all the paintings in the world are done in this technique.
And you are one of the ones.
I'm one of the crazy ones, yeah, that's what they tell me. It is quite tedious because everything has to be done from scratch, by hand. You can't go to the store and buy already made colors. You can't buy the panels already prepared. You have to do everything by hand. So there's a level of craftsmanship that's always involved. And that's one of the reasons why I like it.
How long have you been doing this?
About 32 years now.
32 years. How long have you been exhibiting?
About 22.
About 22 years.
I won the first DuSable Black History Museum show right here. Margaret Burroughs gave me a blue ribbon.
Is that right?
And she told me, young man, don't stop drawing with that pencil.
All right.
I love that woman.
I know we all.
And I won the 25th annual Lake Meadow show, which they don't even have anymore. I grew up watching that show as a child. That's what encouraged me.
All right. Well, it's nice to meet you, and maybe take some videotape of your booth.
Oh, sure.
All
sure.
right.
This is
Actually,
it's
step
kinda
out of the
low.
way.
This is Baby Moses,
All right.
which is a series, one in a series.
All right.
It's about the history of Egypt. And Moses, as you know, the Bible says he was named Moses because he was taken from the river. And so what you see here is the entourage, and they're taking the baby back to the palace. They've already gotten him out of the river. I did this as the second painting in the series, when actually I should have done the first painting first. I'm working on the first one now.
Okay.
And that's where they actually pull him out of the river. And then up here it's called the Garden of Love.
All right.
And it's basically a landscape that I did, and I like to think of it as my own backyard, because I made up the painting as if it were my own backyard. If I could have my own house in my own backyard, that's what it would look like.
Okay. That's a good.
There is no real place. It doesn't exist in reality. I just made it up.
All right. Well, it's a beautiful, beautiful image. Very beautiful. And who's the lady?
This is a pastel original, and it's my wife's niece.
All right.
She's a twin sister, and so I get them mixed up because they're identical twins. I can't tell if it's Myra or the other one, but they're both so photogenic that I did this as a portrait. And this is another lady from New York. She and her husband are artists. They're very good friends of mine.
All right.
And her name is Adele. I did her portrait in pastel also.
All right. A lot of range here. A lot of range.
Yeah, I like to do different media, and even though I do work in tempera, I like to do acrylics. This painting was done in an acrylics. The original of this piece is 6 feet.
Oh my.
And it's a 6, I couldn't bring it, it's just too big. But I do oils, I do portraits in oil. I can sketch your portrait in oil in an hour if you can sit still. If you can't, it takes an hour and a half.
Okay.
And I've done, I don't know, a couple hundred portrait commissions, I guess, in oil. So I do a lot of work in oils from time to time. And watercolors, I love watercolors. I just love to paint and draw.
Well, I'm glad.
And sculpt.
I'm glad that you like to do that, and I'm glad that you've done it so well.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm here with Theodore Feaster, who is an extraordinary artist, and I don't know how you figured out how to do this, but I want you to tell the audience about it. Take the microphone and talk
Okay.
to the audience.
All right, thank you very much. Well, basically, a lot of this came from my mind, and also looking at African designs, pictures of Africans. I first saw this guy on a poster, actually a calendar, and he was a Dinka warrior, and he had this stern, strong look. So I said I had to capture that in stained glass. I started doing stained glass because I was repairing my own stained glass in my home.
Oh, that's
Exactly.
where you got to doing
Yes.
stained glass.
I'm rehabbing a house
Okay.
in Bronzeville.
All right.
So I'm repairing my own stained glass.
Okay.
So I looked at a lot of African designs and pictures of Africans, and I said, well, nobody's doing that. I never saw any of that in
Of
stained
course
glass.
not. They're all religious figures, and most of them are not African.
That's right, blonde-haired Jesus with the blue eyes from the desert. It's just kind of hard to believe.
Yeah, that is.
So what I did is I had that's a young ladies going through the rites of passage from young ladies to womanhood, African mass, contemporary jazz player, trumpet player,
Right.
the beginning of my jazz series. I'm going to do a saxophone player, bassist, a piano player,
Okay.
drummer.
Okay.
This is my piece called Sharing the Burden. My wife and I going through life together,
All right.
sharing the load.
All right.
Okay, so we're going through this together
Okay.
as a couple, going through everything.
I'm trying to figure out how, I guess in order to display this in your home, you would need something like this so that you could hang it so it hangs
Yes.
free so that the light can go through it.
Well, I'm rehabbing an old home with 13 rooms. We got over 20 windows. So I have plenty of places to display them. And that's where we display them, in our home and our windows.
But if I want to display one in my home, I have to figure out how to do that.
Exactly. I'm doing Chicago Bulls for her. And my daughter, I'm doing tropical fish for her. Okay, and I'm doing what they like, their room. They're coming up with the colors, so I'm doing it for them. And for my likes, I like the African themes, the African designs. This is an African mask that I put in my house. I had a broken window.
So you just replaced it with stained glass mask.
Exactly. I have a mask the exact same color as this. I took the colors from my mask, and I put it in the window. Now my son wants me to put this in each panel, all the picture windows that we have in the house. I told him I'll teach him how to do stained glass, and he can do it.
Right.
Exactly, because this is an exterior window that I have this in, whereas most of these are interior windows. And you notice I do a lot of continents, angels, mass-size shield designs. I'm actually in the process of acquiring more designs of other tribes. And eventually I want to have a shield representing every tribe in Africa. That alone will keep me busy.
I know that's right.
And I talk to a number of Africans and they tell me some of those designs go back centuries. All their ancestors, their great-great-great-grandfathers wore those designs on their shields. So what I'm trying to do is bring that to America in a different medium, so that all of us in our homes, we can have African masks and window treatments.
This is wonderful. This is beautiful, wonderful work.
And no one else is doing it.
And that's wonderful.
That's right.
And you're a pioneer.
Exactly.
And an innovator.
Exactly.
And your wife is a lucky woman to have you doing your windows in your house. Yeah, because you probably couldn't afford all those windows.
Oh, no.
My windows right now are very bare, and when we walk in the house, we're like, oh my God, where are... I say we need the stained glass. We need the stained glass back in our windows because our windows are so bare. And so now I'm telling people the stained glass is an alternative window treatment instead of curtains.
Thank you for supporting the community with upliftment, to give us the kind of creativity that can inspire us and know that there's great beauty among our people.
Yeah, that's what I'm about.
All right. Thank you,
Thank
Melvin
you very
King.
much. Here, God bless.
See, I got that on record now.
Good.
Guess what? I'm here with Buck Brown, the legendary artist. I love to say legendary, and he is. People know him for his work in Playboy, and I know him for his very wonderful painting of Ray Charles. He has just captured Ray Charles and the Raelettes just better than anybody I've ever seen, and I want him to talk about some of his other images because you don't know how well you know Buck Brown.
Well, I was going to borrow a quarter from him, but I can't now with all these good words and stuff. But this is my repertoire of paintings that I'm exhibiting. First of all is Ray Charles, and it's entitled Birth of the Blues. If you can look at the hefty sister, she's closed the lid on Ray's fingers, and hence the title, Birth of the Blues. At the bottom, this painting was originally entitled The Wisdom of Women, because they're working on a car, and the mom is getting money for the young fellow to go buy gas. But in the tournament over in Gary, I changed the title to On the Banks of the Mighty Dan Ryan. At the top, this is what we call a heavy piece. I'm trying to say this 1967 Cadillac that he bought new back in the days when he was a player is now broken down, smoke coming out of it. And it's called Life Ain't Nothing But a Ride Down and a Walk Back. And he's letting the little doggy out, and they got to start hoofing it. I didn't get the expression the way I wanted to, but time was of the essence. I wanted him to, reflect in his eyes the realization that what was once something special is now gone. Next to him is John Lee Hooker, which I entitled Arrangement in Blue, Red, and Gold because I didn't want to infringe upon the man's name. To the right of that one is the first piece that I gave to Bill Cosby called Going Home. It's the traditional swing low, sweet chariot with the white horses and the angels coming across the field to get him. He's trying to get his shoes on, and at the time I did it, his expression you couldn't see whether he wanted to go or didn't want to go. But he's putting on his shoes. And Mom, you can tell her reaction because she's getting her hat and running into the house. Just to the right of that is a piece called The Cabaret Party. And I didn't know what I was getting into because of the hassle I had with the perspective, the color, and when I put in the little sparkly ball that threw off the people in the middle. So I got to go back and work on that a bit. Coming down to the bottom is a piece called Mom and Them. So much of our life centers on going home and seeing the old folks and stuff like that, and the excitement that is when you get there, everybody running around, and just something I try to do as a nostalgia piece. Okay, here in the middle, about 25, 30 years ago, I would listen to, I think it was WGCI, and on the weekends when I was going to play golf on Sundays, this religious program would come on, and the preacher would preach, rap, what have you, and after every point, he would lean over and say, "Ain't you glad?" So this is that brief moment when he was saying that. On the left, another nostalgia piece, the sharecropper or the young black farmer is taking a break. His son is toting water. His daughter has lunch in a basket, and the wife is just standing in the background smiling. The dog is wagging his tail. And this is entitled Let's Do Lunch. That's another one I got to take back until I get it right. Nothing I ever do is finished. So that's the story. Is that about right? This is what I really do. I'm a cartoonist for Playboy. I've been there for 40 some years, and I created a character named Granny. And here she is accosting Ebenezer Scrooge, and the caption is, "It's Christmas Eve, Governor. Surely you can spare a little something for the needy." I brought that one because it was plain, and I don't think too many people will be offended by it. But that is what I do. That's how I got started, cartooning, and I evolved into, trying to do the genre painting of colored folks. Okay.
My name is Al Hawkins. Basically, I'm an artist that deals with people. My whole essence is basically trying to come out and get the emotional feel out of people, the subtle feelings of people, whether it's with a smile, with a gesture. I also like to use light. Rembrandt is one of my favorite painters because of the way he uses light. I've studied under German artist Carl Mattern. Calvin Jones, a local Chicago artist, was a big mentor of mine, influenced me greatly. So I love to do people, our people. I like to show them the feelings, the essence of what they're about. If you notice, the first painting over here that you'll see is Mr. Dilbert. Mr. Dilbert is a wood carver, a master wood carver out of Savannah, Georgia. He and I spent a lot of time together. I did a photograph of him and came back and did a painting of him. Once again, notice his mood. Everything is like that magic moment when people are within themselves, thinking to themselves. And I like for whoever the viewer is to see that emotion. Also the play with light. We go over to another painting. This painting is called The Stoop. And that's taking that little period of time when you see a guy trying to run down his little play with the lady. You can see that she is pleasantly enjoying it, but she also has a certain personality of her own. The hand gestures of both of them kind of motivates them and motivates the viewer to see what's going on. It's telling a story. We go over to the next painting, which is called Essence. Essence is based on the essence of femininity, black femininity, as far as I am concerned. Someone who is very elegant, very sensual, but you can see by her facial expression, very proud. Also, once again, the use of lights and darks. This is my Rembrandt type of painting. Rembrandt brought into modern times, our times, is doing black people, but taking an old master's technique. The next painting is called Blues Blue. I wanted to take a monochromatic approach using the palette, the blue palette, and yet still keeping the warm tones of his face and of the guitar. That's the only warm tones, but once again, using a monochromatic scheme, but I've also maintained that Rembrandt lighting where you have the dark and then the key light that is basically giving emphasis and also adding life to the whole feel of the piece. Very moody. I'd like for you to communicate with the piece and feel a part of it. I paint not just to do a picture, but actually to create a mood.
Good afternoon. My name is Dayo Lauye, and I'm one of the artists in the H3o Show for this year. I've been in it for the last 3 years, and I've seen the improvement in the show. This year there are more artists, more so new artists in the show. I've decided to bring some new works to the show this year. Most of what I brought this year are drawings. The previous years I've brought my paintings, but I decided to bring drawings because all year I've been working on series of new drawings, including the one I'm standing next to here of my grandfather. It's titled The Timmy. I was inspired into being an artist through him. I'm also through a book by John Biggers that he gave to me in the 70s. The book is called Ananse. It's a book of John Biggers' experience in the 50s when he traveled West Africa. And I grew up learning to draw by copying and drawing from the book. The Timmy himself then became a mentor and an inspiration to me as an artist. And while I was young, I used to draw his portraits from photographs. And every other year, I always come up with drawings, which are expressions of the theme. This was done my Father's Day this year. It's done in pastel on paper. Well, I don't know whether you've looked around, but eventually if you look around, you could scan around into some of my other works. And another one I probably will introduce you to is Nina Simone. Nina passed this year, and through the last 3 years I've been working on a few series on Nina Simone, and I brought 2 graphites of Nina into the show. Well, I hope you enjoy the show. It's been a wonderful, it's just starting. Hopefully, and to reach me, you can reach me here in Chicago.
This is Gwendolyn E. Redfern. I'm with the Raw event art show this weekend, and I'm from North Carolina. And what we're getting ready to talk about, I work in the mediums of, I do oil paintings and ceramic pottery and watercolors. So the very first piece I want to talk to you about is my ceramic artwork, and this here is one of my latest pieces. There's some really nice glaze on it, and as you can see, I'm doing some carving inside of the pottery itself. And that came from when I was studying African art. You would have markings on the faces of some of the tribe members, and so I just modified it a little bit, and here are my markings on my pottery. So the second piece that I would like to talk to you about is dealing with watercolor, and this is called Phase 2. And this came, once again, from studying African art, and what I want to do is show the beauty within an African woman. And I abstracted it with the colors itself, not the face, but just the coloration is where my abstraction came into this piece. Therefore, we move on to the third piece. Here we're working in the medium of oil. This is called The Naked Truth. And as you can see, I have a lot of faces in this piece. And what I'm doing here is letting everybody know that there's something that hidden in your closet. Somewhere there's something that you're not telling everybody, okay? And in that therefore, is keeping you encaged. You're like behind bars, part of you anyway. So it's like you need to come clean with it. You need to tell the truth on the matter. So that's why this is called The Naked Truth. And my last piece is one of my latest pieces. It is called Positive 2. Here I'm using a lot of abstraction, and this is a female figure, where I'm playing with positive and negative shapes. And in the blue area is the figure, you can see the dark area, and the red coming behind that is actually the negative. And once again, I'm from North Carolina. My name is Gwendolyn E. Redfern.
My name is Sebron Grant. I'm an artist and a ceramist, and I also do mirror work. And my newest piece is Barry White. He's the icon of love, and as Dr. Peace brought up the fact that he's an icon, I didn't realize I did other icons, like Muddy Waters, he's the icon of blues, Miles Davis, icon of jazz, so I guess I'm an icon lover, I guess, I don't know, but these 3 subjects have really inspired me to stick with the mirror art for now. And as you can see, I've done a couple of little paintings too. I mean, I'm back into painting again, so I will be doing more of those, but I'll never stop doing the mirrors. And this is my latest version of Coltrane. I usually do it in clear mirror, but I thought I would do it in colored mirror just to see the impact of it. So I don't really know. So I'll have to wait for the viewers' feedback to find out whether I should continue on that track or not. Okay, Marvin Gaye was one of my first icons that I did. Next is the Charleston street vendor from 1920. The picture itself was in black and white, and it captured me. It more or less told me I had to do it, so I had to do her. But I did it in color, and plus the thing that really grabbed me, it has history behind it. This picture was taken by the first black woman photographer also. So the picture's got history, and it's got pull, it's got beauty, it's got strength. So it more or less made me do it. I had to do it. I'm a slave to art.
And you're at Raw, and you brought some new Stringfellows, and you brought this artist, and I don't think
It's Funk Cup.
Okay. Spell out his name so people will know what we're saying.
Tssud. Funk Cup, Fung.
CAP.
Okay,
From
where
Cap.
is he from?
He's from Haiti, but he lives in Atlanta.
All right.
Yeah, I have carried his work since 1993.
All right.
So he's a great artist and really very popular and an interesting person as well.
All right. Well, you will see the work of the artist who stands beside me. His name is Akinola, and he is here as part of the Raw exhibit at the Parkway Ballroom, and he is in the Cole Gallery. And I think that I should let Akinola talk to us about the work that we have right behind us so that you will understand not only the beauty of this work, but the skill of this artist.
Yeah, this particular one is called Woman, and I'm talking about the beauty and the strength of a woman. I'm talking about diversity. I'm talking about especially the beautiful things and the forms and the movements about women. It's an abstract piece. It's an oil on canvas.
And you have a second piece below it.
I have a second piece. It's called The Drum Talks. The Drum Talks is a shortened form. Is when the drum talks.
Hello, my name is Ayoka Peace. I'm here with the legendary, world-renowned artist, Allen Stringfellow. He has so graciously allowed me to be the one to interview him. Another piece of history you've so captured. This is an amazing piece. I see there looks like live buildings. There's some that are painted and constructed strictly, and it's amazing. You got the guy over there selling streetwise.
Yeah.
It's so detailed. You know, it's wonderful. This is my first encounter with you. I am so impressed and in awe, so excuse me if I'm a little nervous. But your work is amazing, and it's been collected by some of the heavy hitters. Who are some of the collectors of your work that we might know? There's so many. There's a humongous list.
There's so many. That's why I won't mention any because I wouldn't want to miss anybody.
Miss anyone?
One special one that everyone knows is Oprah.
Yes.
So
there's a story that I read that she bought some of your work, if I'm correct, while you were living down in CHA.
Oh yes.
And she brought something like 15 of your collages while they were showing.
Yeah, I've come a long ways.
You have come so far, and that's the beauty of it, that we can find a jewel in ourselves that God has planted in us and bring it to the forefront and lift ourselves up, and in lifting ourselves up, lift other people up. You bring happiness and joy to the community, and you brought this beauty. Thank God you found this gift, and thank God that He gave you the gift. You also have a gallery, or you also show at one other gallery
in New York, in Harlem.
Okay. Can you tell us a little bit about the feel of New York, and how have they accepted Stringfellow?
Oh, fine. The Essie Green Gallery really gave me the biggest push.
Yes.
From the start up, because I was with Essie's gallery before I was here with the gallery in Chicago. But I'm just with two galleries. I
don't go too far and wide.
No.
Why is that? Is there a method to the way that you market yourself?
Well, you have to respect your gallery owner.
Okay.
A gallery owner does a lot for you. They do a lot of work, and they should get a lot of credit and a lot of respect.
Yes.
And I respect my gallery owners. They respect me, and I respect them the same way.
Yes.
And that's one advice that I like to give to young artists. Be true, be faithful to your gallery.
Okay, wonderful.
If a gallery decides to show you, don't undersell them or whatever. You have to be faithful. You have to be faithful, period.
Yes, in everything that you do, and honest in everything that you do. Mr. Stringfellow, again, a legend, a world-renowned artist living amongst us. So glad to have had the opportunity to present him to you. In parting, do you have any words to say to the young artists or anyone who wants to make their life shine like you've made your light shine?
Well, without God, your life can't shine. You have to have faith, and you have to believe in Him, because without Him, we could do nothing.
Yes.
We would do nothing. If you love Him, He'll love you and guide you.
Yes.
And in this work, in everybody's work, I'm sure, but in my work, especially I need a lot of guidance
to be patient enough
and
to do
to be completing all the things.
How many works would you say you've completed? I mean, because I can't imagine getting through one of these pieces with the detail, and I would just forget about it.
You go in, when I go in my studio to work, I thank him first, ask for the guidance of what I'm going to do.
Yes.
But I get my subjects from things that I have gone through, things that I knew when I was a child, a young person, you know.
Yes.
I'm over the hill now, but I still...
You're so vital. You're more vital than people I know my age.
I still get the thing, but like I said, it's just without his help blessing me. And I feel so blessed to be doing something that I love to do.
Yes. That's the search
and be
for everyone.
Successful at it. And I like for all my work to make people feel good, remember something, or to be happy about.
Yes, this work has a highly, of course, obviously spiritual bent to it. Makes you want to go to church, makes you want to praise Him. And if that's what your aim was,
that's what the aim is.
You have succeeded tremendously. We're going to move on to another piece now. So I would stay here with this one for hours because there's so much to see, and it's amazing that you did a gallery of it's just amazing. You did a gallery of your own work.
This is really a painting of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's really 8 paintings.
Of one?
8 little small collages in one.
So if one would want to purchase this particular piece, this is a highly valuable piece of work since it features some of your great works. This is the next piece in the gallery in your series of collages that we have here today. It's an amazing piece. I believe I see a beach and a family out enjoying a wonderful summer day. What else are we seeing, and what is the period that this piece represents?
This is Coney Island in New York. I wasn't raised in New York, but we got to go to New York about once a year. And Coney Island was the place to go.
It's beautiful.
Just a lovely beach scene.
And something that captures the essence of Coney Island during that time period. It's beautiful because nowadays you would never see children out in the long shorts and the t-shirts, you know, and they have the parasols and things.
No,
it still captures a piece.
They're not as dressed up.
No, they're not as modest or dressed up.
When we went to Coney Island back then, this must have been around the 40s or like that. We dressed up to go to Coney. It was a dress up occasion.
That is beautiful. I love this piece. We're gonna walk on to see. Mr. Stringfellow, you have a very diverse audience. As we were standing here, as I was reviewing your works before we got a chance to really talk during this interview, I see that your audience is a variety of races, a variety of ages. You seem to transcend the racial boundary and the age boundary, all boundaries. And I think it's due to the nature of your work. It is highly spiritual, and spirituality is universal. It speaks to the soul of what's inside of all of us. Can you elaborate on where this amazing depth of spirituality comes from?
Well, this is one of my signature pieces too, because I was raised in the church and in nightclubs for jazz pieces. But the church, see, this is Ladies' Day at church. Now, in my hometown, we had a Ladies' Day. Now they have Ladies' Week. But Ladies' Day, that was where they wore their finest hats.
Okay.
They might have saved this hat all year to wear for this day.
Okay.
And the one thing that always happened in our churches, black ladies, we weren't black then, we were Negro ladies, always dressed up to go to church, which most of them do now.
Yes.
It was an occasion.
It carries on.
And they really would wear their hats. If they didn't have but one hat and nothing else but a gingham, they wore that hat.
Where did you get the materials? How did you?
And I used, like you say, all sorts of materials. A lot of it, and some of it is from things that I've had made for myself.
Okay.
Because I'm quite flashy.
Yeah, you're flamboyant. And wonderfully dressed.
And so I use materials from everywhere. Just
whatever struck your fancy.
Whatever struck out of a magazine. I could be walking and see something on the street that was interesting or something that I would use. You would never know where it came from what I make out of it. None of them were people.
Yes.
None of these were hats.
Yes.
It's just how I cut them and made them out of the hats.
Now you said that even your glue is imported.
Well, I've used a glue that's made in Germany, and lately I've found out that company's not making it anymore. I do have quite a bit
in stock.
In stock, but the thing that I have to be careful, if you find a glue that works just perfect, these pictures are rather expensive.
And they're delicate.
And they've got to last.
Yes.
The years, I know they last over 20 years because I have
some of your own in your own collection. These, I mean, you can't see the bumps, you can't see, they're so smooth. It's amazing. This is some beautiful, very detailed, highly creative work, and I see why you're the legend that you are. We're gonna go on to the next piece. Yes. Start off. Just a second. You don't have to go back into the shot, but you got to give me another signal. Okay. This is another wonderful work that we're previewing today here at Nicole's Gallery. This is the opening of Stringfellow Show here at Nicole's Gallery, a very beautiful, extremely high-end gallery here in downtown Chicago. This piece is just as highly detailed as the others. What's so wonderful about these pieces is that though they are highly detailed and sophisticated, they have a certain childishness about them and a certain playfulness, you know, that it's so youthful. But I know that they're sophisticated. I know the level of workmanship. I can't imagine the level of workmanship they take. Let's say that I can't imagine it. But the childishness, where do you get that sense of youth and that sense of playfulness? You have just an internal youth going on, you know, in your work.
I'm blessed to have that. This piece was done from 2000 in Chicago. In 2000 they had a ping pong was the exhibit. The first exhibit, you know, they had was the cows.
Right.
And this was the next, it was the ping pong. And I did this as a
homage to that.
From the ping pong. And it's called in Cobblestone Park. And that's because of the benches.
Okay.
And tried to capture the action of the people to get a feeling of the motion and the action.
Are you trying to I'm sorry, you go on.
Go ahead.
What I love about it is that you do enter the world. You feel like you're there. like you could have been there.
Well, that's good. That's what I try for. I try. That's one reason you don't find faces hardly in my pictures, so they can be anybody that you would want them to be. Maybe you know someone that plays ping pong or something like that, and you can think of it as these are my children or like that. That's why
I like to fantasize that I could play ping pong. So I just superimpose myself on the face of that player because I like his sweater. And how do you get how did you get this to be so miniature? Or maybe we shouldn't give away any of your secrets. But I can see this is a shirt, and it's done on the scale of every other piece that you have here, which I see that you were able to cut down. But this looks like it was actually something that was shrunk.
It might have. It wasn't a shirt.
Okay.
No.
But you made it look like a tennis shirt. It's so amazing. It has a little logo and everything.
Something I can see a large piece of something, and just the shadows in it. Where the shadows are in that large piece, I can see cutting it so I can get to the shadowing you see under the arms and whatnot.
Yes, that is amazing because it has action, it has life and movement, and that's something I picked on in that piece. You have a live bird, you have live pictures of ducks here in a scale that, I mean, it's
these things I see once in a while if I'm looking through something, and I may save it for just an occasion like this.
It's beautiful. It is beautiful.
I might not know where it's going to be at the time.
Okay, but you save it up, and when it comes time to use it, it's such a wonderful way to use it. Such a beautiful thing. Mr. Stringfellow, I think I know what this is. Baptism?
Baptism.
Okay. Could you elaborate? Where did you see this beautiful scene?
Oh, in my home in Champaign, we did this maybe once or twice a year. Sometime all the churches would go together. We'd always have outdoor baptism in Crystal Lake.
Okay.
A lot of times usually we'd have a picnic to go along with it. But we baptized outside. This is one of my signature pieces. I have a baptism in every show.
This is beautiful. Was the lake so blue? Was the
Crystal
pool
Lake
so blue?
Crystal Lake was a nice, clean environment.
It's gorgeous.
I don't know if Crystal Lake was a man-made lake or not, but we used it for baptism. Used it for ice skating in the winter.
Wow! Look at their beautiful veils. Such a highly spiritual and such a ritual among anyone who knows about baptism.
And the red umbrella came because they always held the red umbrella over the preacher, whether it was raining or I guess to keep the sun off. And it was always red.
Yeah, such a classic piece. I don't know how many baptisms take place outdoors anymore. So this is so classic. It's such a piece of history that we're seeing. You know, you've encapsulated, you've captured that point of history. And what period? Where does this come from in your memory? What period?
I guess this would have to be late 20s or early 30s when I was still living in Champaign.
Beautiful, beautiful. Another amazing piece of work. Again, the spiritual thing makes you want to praise Him, makes you think about God, and I'm so glad that that's your aim. It's a beautiful endeavor.
To make people feel good, make people happy.
It's a wonderful endeavor, and just looking at you, I'm happy because you got on that red. It just makes you want to jump out your skin looking at that red.
Well, for the last 10 years, I guess maybe 15 years, I wore nothing but red.
Why is that? What is it that you see in red? What is it about the red
Well,
for you?
it attracts, just like you asked me that question, that's what I see. It attracts people's attention.
You go right to it.
If you don't remember Stringfellow, you remember the artist in red.
Oh, yes. I love that. Okay, with that, we're going to go on.
I would like to share with you a recent honor which we have recaptured in a slideshow of still pictures. Dear Cicely, thank you for the greatest gift you could ever have given me. Thank you for giving me something in myself, the gift of cultural pride and dignity reinforced over and over by the strength of the characters you brought to life so that I could see, hear, learn, and feel the passions of the people who made our ancestors survive. Thank you for breathing life into the characters who would deny me the right to fail in the face of those who might have denied me the right to succeed. Thank you, Jane. Thank you, Coretta. Thank you, Rosa, Harriet, Marva. Thank you, Cicely. Thank you for using your artistic prowess to cultivate the dignity of not just women, not just African Americans, but the dignity of the human race. I am so proud to be able to present to you one of my sculptures, so proud to be able to say through my own work that your work has so greatly mattered to me and my family. With my deepest appreciation, love, and respect. Artist Debra Hand.